Warhorse just dropped a massive update for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and this is patch 1.2, ringing in at a 64 gigabyte download. So we have a lot to go over today. I'll leave a link to the patch notes below. And those of us that are waiting for hardcore mode, unfortunately, we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. It's not part of this patch, but it will be coming soon. But real quickly, before we talk about patch 1.2, I did just notice that Warhorse also tweeted out today that modding is now available on Steamworks. So this will be a very accessible way to download mods for PC players right on the Steam app itself. I'll leave a link to this article down below, but that's a topic for a different video. We got how to install, mod loading, creating and publishing mods, etc. So let's start right off with the long-awaited Barber feature. And in the picture pop-up right here, this character kind of looks like William Dafoe, I'm not going to lie. But bathhouses in the Kingdom of Bohemia are regarded not only for their beautiful bath maids, but also their skilled barbers that can turn any common vagrant into a dashing cavalier. For a small fee, of course. So with the Barber feature, you gain new hair and beard styles, the option to change your appearance, and a bonus to your charisma after every visit to the barber. Now, there's two barbers in this game. One can be found at the Zhelyov Wagoner's Inn on the first map near the bathhouse. And in the city of Kuttenberg on the second map, you're going to go to Adam's Bathhouse right here. And it's kind of in the southwest region of the city of Kuttenberg. And you're looking for this icon right here. It's a comb and also some scissors. Don't get it confused with the tailor's icon. And we're going to find Barber Stibor here, and if we talk to him, we can get a haircut for 25 groschen.
Use a trim, Master Barber.
And we have a ton of choices here for hair. We have Henry's classic cut. If I move my mouse left and right, it kind of turns Henry's head a little bit. The scallet style, the tight trim, ordinary bloke, father figure, English knight, the Polish undercut, dandy, the brawler haircut. A lot of these kind of look like modern haircuts, but I feel like they must have been haircuts back then too. Lord Zagloba, Eastern influence, unkept elegance, the knight errant. Oh, that one's great right there. I think I might have to go with that one. The luscious locks, the minstrel haircut. So Henry's kind of getting some long hair here. I didn't know you could go to the barber to grow your hair, but apparently you can. The young noble look. And I'm going to go ahead and select the knight errant. And then we're going to go over to the beard options. We have clean shave, first fuzz, stubble, dapper mustache, adventure, the goatee, the horseshoe, Van Dyke, a portrait artist, the connoisseur, yeoman, the scholar, the burgher, the well-kept beard, the noble's beard. And that's it for beards. Let's go ahead and select. We're going to take the horseshoe, and I'm going to accept and pay. And if I go ahead and enter into photo mode here to take a look at our Henry, there we go. We're looking like a true ladies man now. It's going to be a great combination with that perk. Now, speaking of perks, if we hit P and check out our buffs right now, because I just got a haircut, we have the freshly trimmed buff right now. The Master Barber gave you a proper trim. Thanks to this, your charisma is temporarily increased by 2, and you can see our new and improved Henry. And the only other feature in this update that I'd say is cooler and more exciting than the Barber feature is the tutorial about not having to hold W while riding a horse will no longer keep repeating its pop-up to you, the player. About damn time, Warhorse. So I'm going to kind of rapid fire off the rest of this update here. You can just listen with your ears. It is insanely long, but what I did here was I read through every category and I kind of pulled out the updates that I think are noteworthy for this video. Chapter markers below. So for achievements, the difficulty has been adjusted of certain skill checks so that the player can unlock the Close One achievement more reliably. Alchemy has improved in several areas such as lighting, resolutions, and animations. Animals in the game have improved dying animations, some of them do. Spawn locations and just the way animals spawn, and also there's more realistic movement for some of the animals that you'll come across. For archery ranges, arrows will now re-equip automatically after an archery contest has completed, and also broken NPCs that would stop shooting in an archery contest will no longer do that. There's a ton of balancing changes to how quickly food goes bad, armor durability, stealth items, the price of meat and other items that are lootable from animals has been rebalanced, difficulty of pickpocketing, the amount of damage that each armor layer receives has been changed up a little bit. The influence of an item's quality on its price, horse equipment prices, the prices and stats of jewelry, item weights have been rebalanced. There's improved loot from chests in some of the bandit camps, lower prices from skill teachers, so keep that in mind. Caravan chests will now have lower overall values from the content that you get within. Pole arms are now stronger, so all of you pole arm users, or maybe you weren't using pole arms, but maybe you should consider it now. Shields will now be cheaper to purchase. Herbs will now sell for more. Several locks in the Trotsky region are going to be easier to pick now to give players a smoother leveling curve. At least that's what Warhorse is hoping. And on that subject, when you come across chests that contain mostly food, these will be easier to lockpick than other chests that tend to have more valuable items. I actually like that change. I think that's going to be nice because it kind of sucks if you take forever trying to pick a lock and then you just get mostly food. And also the exploit with the balanced die has been fixed. So all of you die cheaters out there, you can't do that anymore. And blacksmithing has also received some general rebalancing as well as visual improvements. Moving on to the topic of combat. So there's been an increase in damage from hits from the multi-hit combos. Some players will appreciate that. Being hit will no longer interrupt the player drawing a weapon, so that's a player buff. A short delay has been introduced between melee attacking an opponent while not locked on to reduce the effectiveness of attack spamming. Players are no longer able to easily back away from attacking enemies thanks to the slowdown effect during hit reaction. That's interesting. I definitely want to test that out. Damage types have been properly adjusted for master strikes when deciding between the usage of slash or stab damage values. Horus adjusted the damage of the upper master strike with short sword and shield. The limits of the free look feature have been adjusted in combat. The issues with NPCs being indecisive about whether or not they want to bandage themselves, if they want to run away, or if they want to fight, that has apparently been fixed, as well as NPCs unreasonably pulling out ranged weapons in melee combat. They won't be doing that anymore. And alongside those combat updates, there's a ton of combat animation and visual fixes and improvements, as well as sound effects improvements. And this brings us into the crime section. NPCs are less precise now when they're investigating a sound that's heard from far away. So a bit of a nerf to NPCs here in this particular situation. Reactions from guards have been improved when a player steals from a corpse that's being guarded. Items in players' stashes will now keep their stolen item marker. NPCs' hearing has been boosted when reacting to a violent or criminal situation. Reactions from NPCs when they find you sleeping in their beds have been revised, as well as NPC reactions to catching you lockpicking a door. NPCs watching a violent situation will now flee if the source of the violence moves too close to them, so more reactivity. I love that. Enemy corpses will require more time to despawn now, so you'll be able to see them for a longer amount of time, as well as NPCs will be able to see the dead corpses for a longer period of time, perhaps increasing your chance of the area going on alert. NPCs beforehand could sometimes see players' actions through obstacles, and that's apparently now fixed. And also NPCs used to be able to sometimes see behind them. Apparently they had eyes in the back of their head, and that is also now fixed. And alongside all of those updates, there's a ton of other bug and animation improvements and fixes. For cutscenes, there's been several fixes and improvements to visual problems that you might have seen occur. And I should also note here that equipped arrows and bolts will now show on the player in cutscenes. We have a daily life update category here. NPC schedules have been generally improved on both maps. NPC sweeping animations have been improved. Perhaps they won't sweep the dirt anymore, I'm not sure. Water particles have been added for NPCs when they wash themselves and or drink from troughs. There's now a time period where if you kill the bandit, that patrol route that bandit had will not immediately start being used by another bandit. You have a bit of time before that will actually occur. Day cycles have been fixed for a ton of NPCs. Food that you may have been finding that was free to you will now actually cost you groschen. And then also a ton of other general and bug-like fixes. For dice, more money has been added to some dice players, and the agility XP gain when starting a dice game has been fixed. For environment updates, there's pretty much 40 plus of them, it seems like, and this ranges from Trotsky Castle looking better from a distance, to all sorts of lighting and shadow fixes, to some of the houses looking better and better textures, etc., stuff like that. For fast travel, I think it's notable that Warhorse has added a fast travel point to Bozhena's hut. Horse riding has received some improvements, making it smoother, but this is mostly for when you're following NPCs or following roads. That magnetism behind following roads and NPCs has been improved to feel a little better. Several characters in the game, including a few important NPCs, have received visual improvements such as Rosa's hair. Detail and polish has been added to many clothes in the game for certain characters and stuff like that. And into the maintenance category, the option has been added to repair bows and crossbows and more NPCs, most notably huntsmen. Nice. Blood and dirt has been reworked on shields and how it's cleaned when the player washes themselves, and then a ton of other bug fixes in this category. For music, apparently more music has been added for villages in the Trotsky region. I'm not sure if it's new music. It might be, or it might just be like music that's used in other areas that was for some reason not working in specific towns. And more music has also been added to the credit sequence. And also the mood music for, I don't know how to pronounce this village, Opatowitz has also been changed. We have a category for Mutt here, and a marker has been added on the map and compass whenever you send Mutt home, which in the first region would be to Zhelyov, and then in the second region it would be to the Devil's Den. But this is a nice addition because I know I myself forgot where Mutt was when I sent him home. So it's nice to have a marker on the map. And then there's also several bug fixes for Mutt that have been applied. And that brings us into the performance category, which Warhorse says that the game overall now has improved performance and stability. The Kuttenberg marketplace has been more optimized. Frame rate stability has been improved in battle parts of quests. NPCs will now draw less torches when you're in large skirmishes, which will help improve performance for basically all players. And there's been some stuttering fixes. Then we have a few fixes for the game's photo mode. We have platform-specific fixes, random event improvements, reputation, and shop fixes. But all of these categories mostly contain highly specific improvements and fixes. If you want to look at them, I do have a link below to the patch notes. For skills and perks, the XP gain for Vitality, Agility, Thievery, Stealth, Marksmanship, Houndmaster, Horse Riding, and Melee weapon skills have been rebalanced. Specifically, training marksmanship should now be noticeably easier, and training melee weapon skills should be slightly slower. I think that's a good update, as I did feel like marksmanship was a little bit on the slow, unnoticeable side when I was training. A few exploits have been fixed for skills and perks. The Against All Odds perk now has a visible buff next to the player's health bar when it's active, which is a nice improvement or addition, I guess you could say. This is a perk that will activate when you're outnumbered. The Opening Strike perk now functions on every hit, even if the player does not damage the HP of their target. And then several bug fixes to many of the game's different perks. For stealth, most notable here is that new clothing and equipment has been created to specifically support stealth gameplay, so that's pretty cool. And also stealth stats have been rebalanced for all clothing. Takedowns in the game have been improved. NPCs may actually scream now when being stealth killed. That's pretty cool and also a little bit terrifying. Animations and takedowns have received some improvements and several glitches have been fixed. But very notable here are that stealth kills are now more likely to fail. So be careful and be prepared. For tutorials, we already went over the holding W on your horse now not being a repeat pop-up, but new tutorials have also been added that will provide hints to players about fighting multiple opponents, something many new players do greatly struggle with, so I think this is a nice addition. The UI has received a ton of general fixes and improvements. There's a ton of general visual improvements to the overall game, just making everything look less glitchy in certain areas. You know, the flickering of the lighting that you would experience when you looked certain ways in certain situations, that has supposedly been fixed. And also broken vegetation. I know I came across that a little bit as I was in the second half of the game. I do also want to note here, though, that the option to enable NVIDIA DLSS 4 Super Resolution has been added. We're almost done with the video here. We also have the miscellaneous category with a few notable improvements. You can now sprint while drunk. Hangovers will no longer cause head injuries. And lip syncing has been improved across the game. Always great to see. And the final section of this update is the quest section, which is absolutely massive. It would be pretty spoilery for me to go over all this, and many of you may be already past several of these quests. Maybe you didn't experience any problems with these quests, but just know that quests overall have been updated and improved and fixed in all sorts of categories, from quest bugs to journal updates to being able to cheat or exploit some quests. We have better reactions from NPCs to certain quest parts, music updates, NPC behavior improvements, all sorts of improvements that are all really, really great to see, especially in a game like this, an RPG, where quests are just so important. So love to see how massive this section is. And at the very bottom of this, you'll see that Warhorse has a little line in parentheses here that says, plus hundreds of other fixes and improvements not mentioned in detail. And that's going to be it for patch 1.2. I really appreciate you guys checking out this video. I am done with my first run, but I'm going to be doing a hardcore mode as soon as that update launches for the game. That will be a live stream series on this channel. My offline series was a let's play video series. I'm going to save the hardcore one for the live streams right here on YouTube as well as on Twitch. Very excited for that. This is one of my favorite games of all time. How you guys feeling about this game? I'll catch you on the next one.